In the 90s, America was a different place. No internet, no digital footprint, just money, connections, and the power of persuasion. Whoever could talk the talk ruled. Whoever could deceive became legend. Vincent Cole was charming, smart, and ruthless. They called him the New Wall Street, but history has shown that his world stood on sand. Brooklyn, 1989. Vincent was born to an auto mechanic and a nurse. His childhood was spent between the smell of oil and the clatter of wrenches. He watched his father exhausted after a 12-hour shift and his mother counting pennies for groceries. He was 16 when he first said, "I won't work for pennies. People should pay for their dreams." After school, he got a job as an insurance agent. His jacket was borrowed, his smile was fake, but his words flowed easily. He could convince anyone that tomorrow would be better if they invested today. He wasn't a con man. He simply believed that truth is what others believe. By the age of 28, Vincent realized, you can't get rich working for others. He quit his job and registered a company, Cole Capital Partners. Instead of an office, he had a tiny room in Manhattan. He ordered gold business cards and rented an old Cadillac to look. His first client was a retiree to whom he promised an innovation fund for the future. A month later, the client brought in all his friends. Thus began the pyramid of trust. He didn't deceive people with words. He deceived them with hope. By 1991, Vincent was already renting an office on 32nd Street. 5 employees, telephones, charts on the walls. Everything looked respectable. He knew how to make an impression. Business magazines began writing about a young talent capable of changing the market. He bought a penthouse and began appearing at parties with real bankers. Women adored him, and competitors feared him. But success required fuel, and that fuel was other people's money. When you start playing with fire, eventually you stop feeling like you're getting burned. One of the investors, George Miller, started asking too many questions. He wanted to see the actual contracts, invoices, and financial statements. Vincent smiled and promised to show everything later. A week later, George said he was going to report it to the police. 3 days later, he was found dead in his car on a bridge. Officially, an accident. After that, Vincent met with people from Jersey, a mafia group, who offered business protection. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either. And that was already an agreement. 1992 was a year of expansion. Cole Capital opened branches in Miami and Los Angeles. They sold opportunities, funds that didn't exist, projects that no one had vetted. Every client dollar went offshore. Some went to the mafia, some to a life of luxury. At meetings, Vincent said, "We don't just invest, we create the future." Television invited him as a financial genius. He sat confidently on camera, saying the right things. And at night, he couldn't sleep. Every morning could be his last. His assistant, Sarah Brooks, 25, was one of the few who truly believed him. She considered him a mentor. But one day, while staying late at the office, she opened a drawer containing forged contracts and letters. From that evening on, Sarah began recording conversations and copying documents, but she did so cautiously. She knew that too much truth could cost her life. By the fall of 1993, things had gotten worse. The first investors began demanding their money back. The mafia was pressuring them, demanding a cut. And then Thomas Rivers appeared, an FBI agent undercover. He came as a wealthy investor from Texas, promising to invest $10 million. Vincent welcomed him with open arms. At meetings, he talked too much, and every word was recorded on the microphone in the agent's tie. Pride always goes before a fall, and with a tape recorder, it's even faster. The FBI compiled a 400-page dossier. Sarah handed over the flash drive containing the evidence, risking everything. In March 1994, Business Ledger magazine published an article, "Investment King or King?" Investors began to panic. The office phones were ringing off the hook. A week later, FBI agents entered the office. Vincent stood by the window, cigar in hand. "I was just selling a dream," he said. "And a dream isn't a crime." The trial lasted 8 months. More than 120 people testified. A man who had once owned millions, now wearing a cheap suit, sat in the dock. The prosecutor read the report. Deception, fraud, money laundering, document forgery. When Sarah was given the floor, the room was silent. She said, "He made people believe they could be rich, and he fed on their fear of losing hope." In September 1995, Vincent Cole was sentenced to 25 years in prison without parole. Newspapers. The king of Wall Street fell, and there was nothing beneath him. His company no longer existed. Assets vanished. All that remained were the stories of those who lost everything. In prison, he became a mentor. He lectured inmates on the psychology of influence and business without capital. To some, he was a cynical con man. To others, a genius who had outpaced them. He once told a cellmate, "I'm not a thief. I simply played by the rules the rich made. I just got around them faster." 2020. After 25 years in prison, Vincent was released on parole. He emerged gray-haired, his hands shaking. The world had changed. Smartphones, cryptocurrency, the internet. No one remembered him. He settled in a shelter near New Jersey. Occasionally, he gave interviews to students who were writing about financial scams of the 20th century. He smiled and said, "History always repeats itself. Only the heroes get younger, and the mistakes become more expensive." The 90s were a time when faith was worth more than proof, when a smile was enough to win. Vincent Cole wasn't a villain. He was a product of an era where money meant everything and conscience meant nothing. And maybe we're all a little like him. After all, each of us, at least once, sold our dreams to buy a chance at success.